Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. I've had several requests recently to talk about Sarah Kellen Vickers, so I'm going to do that on Wednesday by dedicating a whole long episode to her. But before we do that, this morning we're going to check out 5 fast facts you need to know about Sarah Kellen Vickers to get you prepared for the episode on Wednesday. So we're going to jump right into it. And this is from Heavy.com, and this article was originally posted August 29th of 2019, and the author is Caroline Burke. So we're just going to breeze through this real quick and get you all prepared and ready for Wednesday, so you have an idea. If you, obviously, most of you know who she is, but if some of you out there don't really know who Sarah Kellen Vickers is, this will give you a quick idea of who she is and what she was involved in, and then on Wednesday, we'll get way more in depth. On to the article. Sarah Kellen Vickers, also known as Sarah Kellen or Sarah Kensington, is a former assistant to the late Jeffrey Epstein. She has been accused in multiple lawsuits of recruiting young women to have sex with the billionaire for many years. To be clear, Kellen has not yet been arrested on any charges. She pleaded the fifth in the past when questioned by authorities about Epstein. Kellen is now working in the interior design industry and is married to former NASCAR driver Brian Vickers. Here's what you need to know. And folks, the only reason she wasn't convicted or arrested is because she was protected under that immunity deal that Dershowitz scored for Epstein the first time around. Number 1. Kellen has been accused in multiple lawsuits of scheduling sex appointments between Epstein and young women. Kellen worked as an assistant for Epstein for several years. She has been accused in multiple lawsuits of scheduling young women to have sex with Epstein. In one lawsuit, the New York Times reports Kellen was described as the lieutenant and was also described as an assistant of sorts to Ghislaine Maxwell. That's how I've described this to you, as like a mafia ring, a mafia family, with Epstein and Ghislaine being at the top, and then all of these 4 women, you know, the Leslie Groffs, the Adriana Rosses, the Marchinkovas, the Sarah Kellen Vickers, those are all of his lieutenants, right? The capos. And then it spreads out from them. You have other people that are doing other jobs, etc., etc. But it definitely is like a mafia structure, the way this whole thing is set up from the top. According to Palm Beach police reports via the New York Times, Kellen kept track of the names and numbers of the women who gave Epstein massages and would call those girls to ask if they were available whenever Epstein was in the area. This is such a RICO case right here, folks. This is, I mean, I know I've said it a bazillion times, and I'm sure you're all tired of me saying it at this point, but this should have RICO slapped all over it. And Sarah Kellen Vickers should have been arrested a long time ago. To the New York Times, a lawyer representing several Epstein accusers said she saw herself as the boss. Sarah was really running that organization, bringing girls and getting them in and out of the Palm Beach home. One accuser even claimed that it was Kellen that showed me how to please Jeffrey, per the Times. So what that means is Kellen was involved in not only scheduling this and enabling this and being a vehicle to get Epstein to where he was going, she was also engaged in the abuse at certain times, according to one of the accusers. Number 2. Kellen is the owner of an interior design firm called SLK Designs. According to her Facebook, Kellen owns an interior design firm. She also goes by Sarah Kensington professionally. Her bio reads, Sarah Kensington makes a living doing what she loves in life, interior design. She is the owner of SLK Designs, LLC, and has studied at several schools including the University of Hawaii and New York School of Interior Design. Sarah loves fashion, photography, travel, delicious cuisine, and anything design-related, housewares, interior design, art, architecture. In her free time, Sarah enjoys working with clay and painting. At the present time, Sarah Kensington is working with a number of clients on various projects, including renovating several corporate apartments in New York, the Caribbean, and Paris. For the houses that Sarah manages, she does a number of duties which can involve organizing staff schedules, looking for and interviewing housekeepers and chefs, purchase and source items that are needed for the household, flatware, dishes, furniture, art, etc., design floral arrangements, and interior design. Well, that's interesting. I think I'm going to have to do a deep dive and see exactly which company she's working for and people she's working with, and then maybe I'm going to have to reach out to those folks and see just exactly if they know who they're dealing with. Number 3. Kellen is married to former NASCAR driver Brian Vickers. It's a hell of a guy, huh? How could a guy like Brian Vickers marry someone like Sarah Kellen? I mean, what a just and again, I have to say, unless of course he's just like her and he has the same sort of disgusting proclivities and he doesn't see anything wrong with what she has been accused of. Kellen is married to former NASCAR driver Brian Vickers. The two were married in Wyoming in 2013, according to the NASCAR blog The Fast and the Fabulous. Though both Vickers and Kellen are largely off the grid, social media-wise, Vickers does have an active Twitter account. Kellen, too, has a Twitter account, though she hasn't posted on it since 2013. Yeah, of course not, because she's scared of what would happen if she posts on it. She's scared of the response of what people would say, what people would comment on her posts, and what sort of old charges people would bring up and put out there for other people to see. You know, who knows what her clients know about her? Who knows if any of them have ever even done a deep dive? Because again, the media has been absent throughout this whole thing. You would think that someone like Sarah Kellen Vickers, who is married to someone famous like Brian Vickers, would be all over the news when it comes to stuff like Jeffrey Epstein. But unless you're searching out news for this story, unless you're digging deep, unless you're listening to content creators that have podcasts or YouTube shows or a nice blog, something like that, you're never going to hear about people like Sarah Kellen Vickers, folks. Number 4. Flight logs show Kellen reportedly flew on Epstein's private plane on a number of occasions. Flight logs published by Gawker in 2015 show that Kellen traveled frequently on the private passenger plane owned by Epstein. That Gawker report also alleges that Palm Beach police were so certain of Kellen's involvement in Epstein's alleged scheme that they prepared a warrant for her arrest as an accessory to sex and molestation with minors. That arrest warrant was never carried out. And you know why it wasn't carried out? Because the prosecutors in Florida were in the bag for Jeffrey Epstein. I'll come out and say it if nobody else will, because as you all know, I have no problem doing that. Barry Kirscher, Alfano, all of these prosecutors that were involved in this first case, they should all be brought up on charges. They should all be brought before a judge, Emmett Sullivan preferably, and brought up on charges for what they did, for what they were involved in, for the way they turned the other cheek. And not only that, for the way that they went along with the defense's strategy to destroy these girls that came forward over some stupid-ass MySpace posts. I mean, are you kidding me right now? According to those flight logs, Kellen was on a flight with Epstein and former President Bill Clinton at least 11 times and even joined Epstein, Clinton, and others on a 5-day trip to Africa. So, look, folks, the rabbit hole is very, very deep with Sarah Kellen Vickers, and she's definitely deserving of a very deep dive, and that's coming on Wednesday for sure. We're going to dive deep. We're going to do a good 45 minutes on her. We're going to read some articles. We're going to look in places that people haven't looked. We're going to turn over some rocks, because enough is enough with these people. Enough is enough with all of these capos who got away with it, who are still running around making a great living, married to NASCAR drivers, owning design companies, etc., while these survivors are scraping and scratching and battling to get what they deserve. Yet Sarah Kellen, Leslie Groff, and Adriana Ross, the rest of them are living the high life still, folks. They're still living the high life. Isn't that two-tier justice system just fantastic? Number 5. Kellen allegedly warned young women not to speak to authorities about their encounters with Epstein, court papers say. According to what authorities have said in court papers, Kellen and Maxwell both told girls on more than one occasion not to speak with authorities about their interactions with Epstein. From what I've heard and from the people I've talked to, Sarah Kellen was the right-hand woman of Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the enforcer. She was the one that Maxwell really depended upon. She was the one that Maxwell really trusted, and she was inherently involved in what was going on with Maxwell and Epstein's blackmail plot. Per the New York Post, Kellen has pleaded the Fifth Amendment when questioned by authorities about her interactions with Epstein in the past. She has not been charged with any crimes officially. She has also not responded to any requests for comment by publications in recent months. All right, folks, well, there you have it. That is a quick profile, a quick 5 from Heavy.com on things we need to know about Sarah Kellen Vickers as we prepare to eviscerate her and put her on blast on Wednesday, because that's exactly what's going to occur. She is about to get the treatment here on the Jeffrey Epstein Show. You folks asked for it, and I am going to bring it. All right, everybody, so I will be back later on today with the Daily Drop. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. If you enjoy the podcast and the content and you'd like to help support it, you can do that by clicking on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. All right, everybody, enjoy your Sunday.